Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a seriously fascinating piece of writing that takes our modern obsession with speed and just completely flips it on its head. If you've ever felt totally suffocated by this hyper-efficient, cost-cutting world, the one where it's always about doing more and less time, well, you're in the right place. We're going to explore how your perceived clumsiness or inefficiency might actually be your greatest hidden superpower.
Let me ask you a question right out of the gate. Why does doing things efficiently often leave us feeling so incredibly empty? I mean, look around. Society constantly praises whoever can cross the finish line the fastest, right? And usually with the absolute least amount of effort. But if you aren't naturally wired that way, man, it is terribly easy to feel suffocated. You're watching everyone else just breeze through their tasks, and you're struggling to keep up, feeling like you're constantly being left behind in this endless, dizzying rat race.
Okay, let's dive into this. Society's ideal is pretty straightforward. Get things done fast, cheap, and with minimal effort. But the crushing reality for so many of us, it's a feeling of suffocation, a total loss of identity, and honestly, a profound sense of emptiness. We're basically living inside this massive corporate machine that insists the shortest distance between 2 points is the only valid path, and it completely ignores the massive human cost of living like a predictable, highly tuned robot. Section 1. The Trap of Efficiency. So, in our heavily quantified modern systems, things like personal dedication, unique perspectives, and any kind of trial and error, they're mostly just viewed as noise. They're seen as wasteful habits that we need to completely eliminate. And that's the true cost of this belt conveyor life. When literally everything is strictly quantified and manuals dictate all your actions, predictability becomes the ultimate virtue. Think about the difference between a traditional potter lovingly shaping clay at their wheel and a data entry clerk just staring blankly at a spreadsheet. Living strictly by metrics slowly chips away at your spirit, especially when you're forced into yet another soul-crushing meeting about maximizing output. You end up having to push down your own sense of aesthetics and curiosity just to match the organization's pace, which leaves you feeling like a defective cog if you can't flawlessly keep up. Section 2. The Artisan's Way. Now, what's really interesting about this next idea is how it offers an antidote. To counter this hyper-efficient trap, we need to intentionally slow things down and look at the ancient wisdom of the takubi, the traditional master artisan. They completely flip our definitions upside down. Normally, we think of inefficiency as a terrible flaw, right? But to the artisan, inefficiency is actually an uncompromising dedication to detail that completely transcends rational logic. It reframes clumsiness from being the shameful personal failing into a relentless, beautiful pursuit. The artisan deliberately ignores the obvious shortcut, simply because they know that breathtaking beauty exists precisely where logic and efficiency end. Watch how this builds over time. At minute 1, the modern world demands a shortcut for fast output. Get it done quickly, right? But the artisan, well, at hour 10, they're intentionally taking a massive detour into trial and error. By day 100, they're in a state of absolute deep focus, totally ignoring efficiency, and by year 10, they've built an unshakable foundation of true beauty. The thing is, when you skip the process just to get a fast result, you're actually throwing away the rich emotions, the deep discoveries, and the rock-solid foundations that are found only in that deliberate detour. And there is a stark contrast in these mindsets. While the modern worker is typically chasing external validation, doing whatever it takes to fish for praise or desperately avoid criticism, the artisan relies on an absolute internal standard. They aren't asking, will society like this? They're asking, does this meet my own uncompromising level of quality? Instead of speed and profit, their goal is unprecedented beauty. And their process? It's a deeply personal dialogue with the material itself, not just blindly following a manual. Section 3. Value in the waste. So what's actually happening during all that extra time? Well, the repetitive, seemingly wasteful steps in the artisan's process are exactly where incomparable value is born. By discarding the obvious shortcuts and willingly enduring grueling trial and error, the artisan reaches a realm completely beyond human intellect. It's through that immense, painstaking labor that you actually move the viewer's soul. An artisan's solitary battle creates a striking presence and a deep emotional resonance that a mass-produced, heavily optimized item simply can never, ever replicate. The magic is quite literally inside the struggle. Section 4. Redefining efficiency. So the crucial point here is that we have to pivot to pragmatic reality.
As romantic as the artisan's path is, they still have to eat. They still have to survive in the modern world. And doing that requires a brilliant shift in perspective. We have to move away from seeing efficiency as the ultimate goal and instead start using it as a protective shield. True artisans don't actually hate efficiency, they just refuse to apply it to their art. Instead, they reframe efficiency as a highly rational weapon, one they use to aggressively protect their precious time and energy from a very demanding world.
To survive as a modern artisan, you actually have to be surprisingly ruthless. You cut out toxic, pointless meetings that definitely could have been emails. You step away from draining relationships. You completely ignore shifting societal trends. By being incredibly efficient at eliminating all this outside noise, you can channel every drop of that saved energy directly into your core craft. Essentially, you're aggressively defending the sacred environment you need in order to create.
And all of this defense really protects one core thing, the single, absolute standard of your own conviction. To make a living this way, you must honor that internal standard. Now, this often leads to a high-cost, high-quality philosophy. Yes, your process takes way longer. And sure, it might cost more. But if you absolutely refuse to dilute your pure work, you will eventually attract the specific people who truly recognize and value that overwhelming quality.
Section 5. Your clumsiness is power.
If you've ever felt bad about being unable to effortlessly conform to the corporate machine, I really want you to remember this. Those who quickly find the existing answers rarely create entirely new ones. The highly capable people in society are mostly just really good at playing by the existing rules. But being clumsy, being inefficient, that literally forces you off the crowded paved road. Because you can't take the easy route, you're forced to carve out a messy, uniquely brilliant path that only you can walk. And this long-term payoff is brilliantly illustrated when we look at the lifespan of the work itself. The quick output from a super efficient worker is consumed instantly, and then it's forgotten. But the artisan's output stretches out endlessly over time. Things created with immense time, trial, error, and a piece of your actual soul, they actively resist being easily consumed and tossed aside by society. They endure. I want you to let this quote sink in for a second. Really important things do not ride on an efficient belt conveyor. If you've been feeling a sense of deep suffocation in your daily grind, let me tell you, your instincts are completely right. The system is designed for speed, not depth. The things that actually matter, the things that truly move our hearts, simply cannot be mass-produced on a tight schedule. So your clumsiness is actually your compass. It is officially time to stop hating your inefficiency. That friction you feel, it's just a sign that your internal standards are functioning perfectly. Let your unique aesthetic, your obsessive dedication, and yes, your total lack of conventional efficiency guide you toward creating irreplaceable value that absolutely no one else can replicate. Which leaves us with one final question for this explainer. Are you ready to step off the conveyor belt and carve your own unique path? The world really doesn't need another highly efficient robot. It needs your distinct, beautiful, and delightfully clumsy humanity. Thanks for joining me on this journey, and I highly encourage you to go out there and unleash your inner artisan today.